Hey guys, what's up? I'm Albert Green, and this is the Music Talk Podcast. Today we're joined by Haley Reinhart. She is a singer from Los Angeles, California. And yeah, introduce yourself, I guess.
Hey, what's going on? Al, can I call you Al?
Yeah, I guess so.
Not much, man. I come from Chicago land area and I've been out here in Los Angeles for the past nearly a decade.
Oh, wow.
Since I did American Idol and started my professional career out that way. And yeah, it's been fun times ever since.
All right, so give us a background. When did you get into music? Like, what was that about for you?
My parents are musicians as well, and my sister, little sister Angela. So in Chicago, they've been playing with their band for decades and decades, and they're still doing it. So I grew up in a really strangely awesome family, always surrounded by music, and I got up on stage singing with them at a really young age. And even before I got up on stage, I was still in the clubs watching them play rock and roll and soul and every pretty much every genre under the sun. So it was cool. It was a cool experience as a youngster for sure.
Yeah, so like, what was that like growing up?
I mean, I was running wild and just kind of talking to the adults, and I kind of first-handedly saw what it was like to be an adult and be like, wasted. And I kind of had this realization being young, like I'm not going to do that. I want to be on that stage and like do my thing. But I don't want to be like you.
So, what do you aim to say with your music? Because I know a bunch of artists, and some of their songs really don't have meaning. What is it like with your music?
A lot of themes that I tend to stray back to quite a bit are geared towards the women of the younger generation, women in general. I just send out, I like to send out empowering messages for everybody, really. And, it could be messages of self worth and to boost their confidence, to make them feel sexy, whatever it is that like there's a lot of potential in people that I want to help unlock, I guess. And also, I have a couple songs that are you could take them different ways, So it might sound like it's a love song, but really it's like an ode to Mother Nature. And I kind of like to give a double meaning to different songs and yeah, dedicate some to this earth that we love on.
Yeah. So, before we go further, I just want to ask you, what genre would you say you make? Or do you not really specify yourself as a genre?
I think I bend the rules a lot with genres, and I'm constantly trying to basically mix all of my favorites into one. I definitely have different pockets of sounds. So when I put out an album, I feel like they all kind of have their own thing going on, but it all comes back to like a sultry sound that has rock and roll implemented, maybe hints of jazz, but it's sultry. So, like the last record I put out, Lo-Fi Soul, I basically wanted to not only make a sound that I was proud of and combining all these things that I love, but the title itself, I wanted it to just kind of reflect who I am, not only like as a old soul per se, but also just like the sound being lo-fi, like kind of older quality, mixed with new wave sound.
So, which one do you like better? Are you a lo-fi person or a soul?
I think I'm definitely an old soul, but I think I'm no longer upset living in today's world because I used to just feel like, oh man, like I connect with everything from the 40s to now, to the through the 60s and 70s. Like maybe this just like I was born in the wrong time, but I really don't feel that way anymore. I think I'm here to continue to hold the torch for rock and roll and carry that torch for soul and these genres that not many of the younger generation get to hear anymore. So I want to
Yeah.
continue that.
So, funny story. when I got the news that I was going to do a podcast with you, I was on the phone with a friend of mine who's also a singer, and I was like, I'm doing a podcast with Haley Reinhart. Sorry, um, and
It's okay.
he's like, no way. He used to be a big fan of you, especially like the song Undone, which I happened to fall in love with, and I feel like it's so
That's
impactful
cool.
just to prove your point as to like you really put your heart into your music and stuff like that. And I just wanted to add that before we went on.
Thank you. I hope he's still a fan. He didn't just used to be one.
Listen. I guess he liked your more mellow stuff. It's definitely not you as an artist, but um,
No, he just needs to hear the new stuff, I guess. I'll send him a
yeah.
CD.
All right,
No, that's cool. Tell him thanks.
I
I
will. I
appreciate
will. He'll definitely watch this and hear this. But where do you get your inspiration for your music?
it. Mostly just real life, man. I mean, I have a lot of crazy stories of crazy times that I've been through, and I think you have to pull inspiration from your own life and as much as possible. And I kind of like live in between this very like I guess today's time and yesterday, and also like I'm very much into my dreams. So I feel like I kind of like to write in these this kind of in between realm, maybe
Yeah.
like just a more dreamy state than reality. I like the songs that, and this is why I love rock and roll, because in the 60s, they were taking you to another kind of world, a dream world. And then you kind of moved it up into this more modern society where they literally say every single thing that they're doing. They're getting Cheetos out of the cabinet, you know? I'm just like, I want to be somewhere else. Like I want you to take me away and create this kind of, alternate universe or reality where things have more mystery to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more whimsical that way. I mean, I like all kinds of music and a lot from today, don't get me wrong. But I think it's more fun.
So would you say that you write in the present, the past, or like the future? What do you think you'd write in?
Well, I always am writing in the present, and we're always kind of in the present no matter what we think. But by the time I put my music out, it's in the past.
Yeah, I
Because
mean I get
for
that, but
most for most artists, it's like it's crazy how long it takes to actually get it out. Like I'm putting together an EP right now, which I
oh
haven't even made
nice.
a full announcement about that. But these songs again, it's like there's some from like 6 years ago that I wrote in the UK with my friend who's producing this with me. So yeah, it's weird how long it takes to actually get the music out. So sometimes you could definitely feel like, oh, I'm not even in this place, like
Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually, whatever anymore. But thankfully for me, I connect so deeply to the songs I write, knowing that I want to put them out someday, that they still feel relevant no matter what at some level and
Yeah.
capacity.
So what's the ultimate direction for your music?
Um, I mean, right,
It's a
it's
difficult
gonna
question.
no, it's a loaded question that's amazing because I believe as an artist, you're supposed to continue to evolve constantly. So with every project that I put out, it's not necessarily my like, you know, distinct goal, but I'm going to follow my intuition and go with whatever it is that I'm feeling at that moment in time. So I'm probably, this is like kind of more of a funkier, soulful R&B little rock EP. But then I'm definitely going to be moving into the jazz world more eventually. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that'll
just
be really cool.
things. Yeah, it just depends on the time and what's all going on, with my surroundings.
So at what point do you have to reach to come to the realization of like this is what I want to be and this is like my peak of success?
Um, well, I mean, the funny thing about success is it's ever changing, and for me, I'm always looking to climb the ladder, and everybody, some people that aren't in the industry, they could just think that having a hit song on the radio, that is what equals success, and that's the end all be all. And for me, like luckily, I've gotten there a few times and had my song on the radio, pretty organically, which was really lucky. But there's so many other routes to success, and I want to get a Grammy for sure. Like that's definitely on the list. But I mean, in the meantime, I'm defining success in many different ways that a lot of people probably aren't even aware of unless they're really digging and know what I'm up to in my career.
Yeah.
So I just think it's really important for artists and creatives in general to really just like look at what their talents are and how they can utilize those gifts in different totally different platforms. So for me, I'm doing voiceover work, I'm getting into acting, I'm still maintaining my music career and I have a million ideas for that. So it's just about not spreading yourself too thin, but really keeping focus and achieving as many different things as you can.
So, what's your opinion on the industry?
Well, I think that it's changing for the better. I've recently, like, I've been through a lot of, different labels and things, and definitely learned so many great and valuable lessons for better or for worse. And I've started up my own, and I'm putting things out under Reinhart Records. And that's for now, and I also do like side label deals where it's like, you still own your masters, which is really
Yeah.
important. And more people are getting hip to that whole cause. And I think we're just at the stage where technology has really, just completely blown up. And now we're able to be our own, bosses and do it our way. And we really, there's no limit to how much we could do on our own if we want to, and if you have the kind of dedication that it takes.
So, if you can give us like three big tips as to how to navigate yourself through the industry, what would they be?
I would say first and foremost, you should have a vision for yourself. Whether you're going to be with a label or not, everybody can tell you that they know what you should be doing. But if you want to be not only successful, but happy, which I think is the greatest success in life,
Yes.
is to have a vision for yourself and be able to go off of your instinctual feeling. And then after that, I think that you really have to get in touch with the drive within, and you have to know how much work and dedication it takes. For me, longevity is so important. So I don't care if it takes me over a decade to get all the things I want. The fact that I'm doing it the right way for me and not cutting corners and taking shortcuts along the way, it makes the journey and the prize at the end of, the treasure at the end of the rainbow, like all that much more sweet and delicious. So I'm happy to do it that way. So yeah, I think maybe that's two or three things. But and yeah, just like create your brand. Like everybody's so lucky at being younger and having all of these platforms. Like take advantage of it and don't be like, I don't know, not authentic. Like just find your voice, be original. Don't feel like you have to copy whatever trend and wave is happening right now, because those are going to fade away. And it's the people that really just go off the beaten trail, beat their own drum, that actually stick around.
Yeah. So, at what point in your career did you really realize that this is how you have to go about your career?
Um, it's a good question. I've always been going against the grail since day one, to be honest. So I think like this is the path that was set for me. I've always kind of just like really questioned authority and everything, and just and more so than that, it's just been fighting for what I know is right for me. So from day one, I had to fight to co-write and help produce all the songs on my very first record, Listen Up. And that was the biggest and most it was one of the most smartest decisions I've ever made, because I established from the get-go that like I need to be the voice of my own album, and it's important to me to give my audience, whoever that may be, an authentic sound that's coming from a real place.
So, if you can briefly describe like the development of your career from day one to now, what would it be like?
Um, what in what sense?
In the sense of like growth.
Okay, well, I think a lot of it is about taking ownership. So, I would be writing songs and actually being very much involved with the production end of things. And it wasn't until maybe my record better or yeah, or maybe or maybe what's that sound and lo-fi soul, I established and wanted to have the title of being a co-producer. It's important. It's like you kind of feel like you have to pay your dues up until a certain point to start telling people how much you're actually doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I feel
um,
like that's really important because it really creates like this thing of it being yours, you know? Because a lot of artists they go and they'll produce tracks and then they'll hire a ghost singer, let's say, and it kind of pushes everything aside as to that song's not yours, it's kind of mine, you know? And I feel like it's really important to really do things on your own in the industry overall, you know?
Yeah, you're so right. And back in the day, like, yeah, there was a lot of, interesting scenarios where artists were not able to do any of these things. And they were literally just the voice or just the face, like you said, with another voice. It's just like, I can't even imagine a world like that now. And maybe that stuff is still going on. But for me, it's like, if you can tell people, hey, like, I actually give a shit so much that I help direct my music video. I created the treatment for this in the first place, which I do for all my videos. So it's like, it's just, it's important for them to know how involved you are because then they can connect you even more, I would imagine.
Yeah. So, have you had any bad experiences within the industry?
That's another loaded question.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, this whole industry at large is just a one big crazy roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be in this thing because you're constantly, your skin is getting tougher by the day. But it's all good lessons. Like I do not look at anything that happened, getting dropped from a label to whatever. Like I have strong emotions towards those things in the moment, and then I snap back out of it very quickly and realize that everything is happening for a reason. Um, and I'm meant to learn from it. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that always goes wrong, and you can't like I don't allow myself to make things necessarily real until they are happening because so
Yeah.
many things come up, they fall through the cracks, and then more opportunities come, and you just I don't like um, hype myself too much, but all I know that I can do, what I'm in control of, is completely being open-minded and having, good energy put forth with all my projects to attract those kinds of amazing opportunities to come back to me. And it continues to happen. So I'm not mad at it.
So, I tend to think that many people within the music industry find it challenging to a point where they can't handle it or think it's overwhelming. Why do you think that is?
I honestly I don't operate at a place like that, so it's hard for me to understand
Yeah.
because there is no giving up as an option
For
in my world
yourself.
for myself. But I guess if I could think of the reasons why it might be more hard, I would guess that they don't have a distinct and clear vision for what it is that they who they are and what they're trying to do. And maybe they lack a support system. I've seen even since high school, I've seen so many people that had such great potential, and yet I truly feel like they weren't able to unlock it fully because they did not have their family support or weren't with the right group of people surrounding them. I think that's huge. I'm super close with my family. They live in Chicago, but I still talk to them like every day, get their advice on stuff, even if they're not like necessarily in this crazy business. They've still been around the block, and it's so, rewarding to be able to bounce things back and forth off of people that you love and trust. It also just helps you to create a clearer vision yourself.
So what keeps you going? Is it the support of your fans, your family, or what is it?
Definitely both. My fans are amazing. They're growing by the day, thank God. And the OG fans have been here since day one, and they're still going strong. They always have my back. My family is incredible. They're so 110 million% supportive. And I've just kind of really been born with this drive. I really feel like I know what I'm here to do on this earth, and it goes just beyond singing a song, but it's like the things that we've talked about, the messaging within that. We have such a unique power as artists and a responsibility to send out good messages, or whatever kind of messages people want to put out there. But I choose the good ones. So yeah, I just feel like I have this duty, and I need to see it through, as high up as I can get on that ladder.
So what would you be doing if you didn't get into music? Is there anything else that you're passionate about, other than music, or is it just music?
Yeah, I mean, like when people would ask me that, I'd always say, well, I really don't care to have a plan B because it's not going to happen that way. But, I could have totally seen myself being like a motivational speaker or a psychiatrist. I love helping people.
Yeah, I feel like
Or
that's
maybe
great.
like a clothing designer because I love clothes.
Same.
I'm obsessed.
um,
Yeah.
Tell us more about how that was for you. What did that feel like, really getting to the point where you're able to buy a house for yourself? I mean, that's a big milestone in life, you know?
Yeah, for me, that was a big old like reset where I was just like, "Oh, this is success." Like I've actually done a lot of what I've come to do in LA already. Um, the Grammys and those things like we talked about, or I talked about, are definitely still like something that I want to manifest. But as I work towards that, having a place to get creative and call your own, and build roots here in LA, and not just like, have a one bedroom apartment with all those clothes in a room. It's definitely an accomplishment, a huge accomplishment for me.
Um, so sorry, I'm just blanking here, but what's like one message that you can give the people that are listening, like to really get to this point? Because I'm sure you've had experiences where you felt like, maybe I'm not gonna get to where I want to get. But what do you think the biggest tip that you can give someone is?
That it's possible. I think the fact that people just kind of immediately deter away from a thought or a dream that they have because they don't think that it's actually possible. Everything is possible. You just seriously have to put those magical ingredients together, and it's not going to fall in your lap. Don't let anybody tell you different. People that it falls in their lap, it's kind of the ones that are not, like I said, they're not going to last forever.
Yeah,
If you want to be in a flash in the pan, go ahead. But if you want to really, really hone in on a craft and be the best, or be one of the greatest, be the Michael Jordan of your vocation, then it takes a lot of dedication. It takes all of your dedication. And yeah, I just think it's good for people, especially young and old. It's like it is possible. So keep dreaming, and actually beyond the dreaming part, chase it, go after
yeah.
it.
So how do you differentiate life from music?
I mean, they coincide so magically that I I live and breathe music. So I mean, other things that I would do, like I am so happy to just be outside and lay in the sun and listen to like nature's music and sounds, you know, like I like to really get grounded from time to time. So having this house, I can do that now way more. Just light some incense, walk around, clean the energy, the space, and yeah, and just kind of like I don't know, especially during this quarantine time, to go within and just ask myself, like, how are you doing? Check in and like reevaluate your goals. And yeah, I think I've mastered the balance of life now. Because I used to be on the road way more than I was, you know, in LA. So I would be like 3 weeks, couple months on the road, and then I'd come back for like a week or something crazy. And it's not to say that that won't happen again, but I like where how things are right now, where I go off on tour, I come back and I actually have a home to come back to. I fly to Chicago, go and play shows with my parents, get family time in with my friends and family back home. It's a really nice balance.
So, I mean, I'm just interested in this. Can you give us like a couple of stories that you maybe had on tour, or anything within your career that really like um, gave you the push to continue and like really got you to the peak of like this is a part of success. But yeah, can you share? Could you share with us some of those stories?
Well, yeah, first of all, I truly thrive on the road. I really like the gypsy life according to, you know, kind of just like living in a bus and being able to travel from city to city and just kind of weaving in and out of space and time. I get to disconnect from my email a little more and just really just do what I'm there to do, which is perform and like meet people, greet people, and like be present. So that in itself is like a huge gift that I don't take for granted when I'm out there. You know, I even had like an interesting time where on this last run, my manager actually decided to like leave and do a whole different change up his entire job and everything. So at that moment, you know, as hard as that was to take, I immediately shifted focus, and it actually turned out to be an incredible, beautiful transformation on stage where I was way more present, and it really helped me to connect back to why I'm actually doing this, who I'm doing it for, which is first and foremost, yeah, the audience and myself. And it was a crazy bond shift between I don't know, me, the band, and the audience, and every venue that we got to, you know, tour into. So it's like again, it's like kind of taking those things that are whether they're good blessings or in the first place they seem like they're, you know, something unfortunate that happens, and just flipping it on its head and learning from it and growing from it.
So I want to talk more about the point of really switching up, whether it comes to anything, literally. I feel like it's really important to do that in life. Um, and for like today, someone hit me up and he's like, "I just lost my best friend that I've been best friends with for 3 years," and I'm like, "Dude, I've been through things like that. The best thing for you to do is really just let it go, cause the more you go and dig, the more you're just gonna feel like crap, you know." And I feel like it's not worth all of that heartache.
Yeah, there's something to be said about, you know, letting go for sure, the detachment of things like that, but also taking things for what they are. So remembering the great times, keeping those with you, and treading on, and wanting to make those kinds of people even more proud by doing you, you know. And it's not like you're ever going to forget somebody that's special to you, whether it's somebody that you lost or even a manager, whoever. It's like life is interchanging, it's ever changing, and I truly I kind of live by, you know, one of the sayings like everything in life is temporary, for better for worse. And I like to look at it for better because it's, you know, that means that no matter what your situation is, it will change,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing.
So Do you have any, like, were there any like resources at your, not at your footstep, but like, were there any resources that really helped you within the industry when you were starting, or was it just hopped right into it and just hope for the best?
I mean, I'd had different maybe mentors that came in and out of my life. And some of the time I wouldn't even realize it till later. And just like working with some of my idols, like Robbie Krieger from The Doors, he's the guitarist of The Doors, Jeff Goldblum. Just there's been a lot of people, Steven Tyler, that I look back on and I realized what an impact they've made on me and how much I really was like a sponge and would watch them and observe how they acted, the kinds of things they said to people and myself, and just yeah, watching those interactions are really, really helpful. But I was thrown into it completely. So I got thrown into this business with a full on team, which I'm not complaining about either. It's, you know, I have the lawyer and the agent and the business management and the label and the deals. It's, you know, it's something that um, doesn't always come in a full package like that. And I've been through so many cycles of different teams.
Yeah.
So one thing's gone, the next person comes in, I have to go meet another five labels. You know, it's just like this is just that's like another good thing for people to remember while going through the gauntlet is that it's not it's not necessarily natural for anything to remain the same. It's that's so cool if you could find a manager for 50 years and running. That's amazing. It's truly like nearly almost unheard of at this point in time. But it's definitely can be out there. But I think it's encouraging at least for people to know that this is like so normal for things and people to change and relocate and to not get tripped up by it.
So we didn't really speak about your experience on American Idol. Do you mind telling us what that was like?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to know anything specific?
Not really. I guess be vague.
um, yeah, it's so weird looking back. Like I look at it as kind of this lucid dream where I could do everything that I wanted to do because I really truly got to where I wanted to get. I didn't even necessarily want to get third or first place because I kind of knew that there would be a lot more cooks in the kitchen and you might not be able to write your first record. And I knew that was something I'd fight for. So I won that. But American Idol is amazing. Like, I mean, it was such a great way to learn so many things so quickly. So I know all of us feel like once, if we could get through all that, like we are now prepared to take this industry by storm and have what it takes to survive it. The curveballs, you know.
Yeah. So what did that do for you? I mean, obviously they're like they have their system as to whoever wins gets to go on to a label or something like that. What was that like?
Well, even on the show, we were very fortunate our season to be working with Interscope. So that meant every single week we were working with a different all-star producer. Um, and you know, I was working with guys who made Eminem tracks and Destiny's Child. Like these are just a lot of heavy hitters, and every week we would just rotate and get with a different producer, record professionally in the studio to release these tracks and then perform them live to millions. So like we were getting on all ends of the spectrum different well, different pieces to take with us for the rest of our lives. um what was your question
Um, I totally forgot, but we were talking about
again?
American Idol and how it helped you with your career. I think.
Right. Well, I forgot. I had something else I wanted to say about that, but I got lost. But yeah, I don't know. Like, not only was it, I learned so much from like performing in my hometown on stage, right, as a kid, and now this was like a matter of learning how to communicate through a lens to millions of people at home as well as a crowd that's right in front of you. You know, we were doing a million interviews a day, signing a million things a day. It was it was absolutely crazy. And touring as well. I mean, people don't really talk much about this, but on our season, we toured 50 dates to sold out arenas. So
That's
it's
nuts.
different. Every year has kind of been a different scene, and we just so happened to be there when the lightning struck once again, and it was like at the height of its kind of buzz, which was awesome.
What do you think about what they're doing now?
I feel so bad for them. Like, it's got to be way easier to sing at home. Not gonna lie, that's my opinion. But I do feel bad that they're not able to experience and work. Like, I got to sing with Tony Bennett and Stevie Wonder and
Yeah, it's nuts.
Gaga and stuff. And it's like, they're not getting those kinds of experiences right now. And honestly, I just did another podcast saying the same thing, but I really hope that they get the chance, whoever rises to the top and can show that they can work their asses off. I really hope that they are able to work with those kinds of people in the future and make up for lost
Yeah.
experiences.
That really
You
puts a
know?
lot into perspective because like I'm thinking about it now, they don't really get to go through the touring, the big stage, the lights, the cameras, like cuz it means a lot to these people who are really auditioning for something so big because, you're going to do it not only because you love music, but you also feel like this is something that could be a big milestone and really not being able to feel that really I think would really hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, it makes it so much more of a competition, really, because you are very nervous. You're getting all these millions of different things thrown at you. You have to
Yeah.
learn 3 songs in a day, record them all, be on live TV, not screw up the words, not having, auto tune, not having the words in front of you. Like, all these things were real. So it's just a totally different show right now, and it's not their fault. So yeah, I feel for them. I hope they're doing all right.
So, have you been doing anything, I guess, locally to help people?
I've joined Music Cares for a couple
On
of
Spotify, right?
benefits through Billboard, and then yeah, a couple things. So I'm trying to, help other musicians that are in need. That's always something that's near and dear to my heart. Obviously, I know how the struggle can be
Yeah.
real. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to do as many of these things as possible where we're doing podcasts. And honestly, I just hope that either it can help somebody just put a smile on their face and give them advice, like for the people that are really going through it. Like, this is a strange time. Like, we're all just here to just think in our heads a lot more than usual. And some of us are alone. And I hate that. I hate that thought. So hopefully people tune in to stuff like what you're doing, all these podcasts, because I think it surely will give people some stuff to bite on and hopefully get creative in their own world.
Yeah, I mean that's literally the whole point of the podcast. I mean, I started the idea came about 2 years ago at the point where I was like doing pre like recording like practice runs, I guess you could say. And I've been doing that for like a couple of years now. And it really got to this point where I felt like it was essential for me to start this, just to give people things to do, listen to something for an hour or half hour. I feel like it's really important.
I'm glad you're doing it. And you seem like really young and you're really good at it. So
Thank you. I'm 18
good for you.
actually.
Oh my gosh, you're a baby. That's good. That's cool, man. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you.
I like podcasts. I'm just starting to get into them myself. This whole technology thing is hard for me sometimes, so I'm getting used to it.
Listen, you're not that old. Come on, you can't be saying that.
No, I'm only 86 at heart, but I'm 19 forever, so it's fine.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting to the end of the podcast, but I want to ask you a couple more questions. What's next for you, and where can we hear your music?
Oh, yay. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I haven't really made an actual full announcement of this yet. But am in the process of making a new EP, so that's exciting. F is for Family is a show that I voice a young Bill Burr, the comedian, I play him as a little boy. It's animated. I can't stress that enough. Some people are like, "Wait, what? You're okay?" But anyway, we just announced today. It's kind of the first new trailer for season 4, and it has Jonathan Banks, who's from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh wow.
If you're into that, you know Mike Baldhead.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I haven't watched Breaking Bad in a while though.
Okay, he's the biggest badass in the show, pretty much. But he's gonna play my grandpa, so that's pretty neat. And we just announced that today, so that's coming soon to Netflix. And I'm also going to be in my first feature film with the new Robert Rodriguez movie called We Can Be Heroes, and that's another Netflix
Oh wow.
original.
So you're really killing the industry.
Just getting started. But yeah, there's a couple fun projects. There's another a documentary that I got to shoot and do some of the soundtrack for in Vienna, and it's a great documentary called An Impossible Project. Kind of really ties into what we've been talking about too, but it's all about connecting and evaluating life in the digital realm that we live in now compared to the analog realm,
Yeah.
and how they can live together. I believe they should live together and thrive off of each other. Like one cannot really survive without the other, in my opinion. To be, in a cool, authentic world. That's I like to combine the two. So anyway, an impossible project that's going to come out soon too. So yeah, there's some fun new stuff. And then Peace My Heart is out everywhere now. Jan's dropped the cover. So yeah, follow me at Haley Reinhart, all that stuff.
Um, all right. So I guess that's the end of the podcast. I want to thank you all for listening or watching, whatever you're doing. But yeah,
Yeah,
guys, thank you. And thank you, Haley, for really coming on. It was a true honor to speak to you. And yeah, thanks.
same here. It was really fun, Al. Thanks for having me.
No problem.